The Royal Enfield Classic 650. Welcome back. This is the loan bike from Potteries Motorcycles, and they've allowed me to take it out for an hour while my little Himalayan Scram is in for its first service. So this is going to be very much a sort of a first ride review, as you might do yourself if you're interested in buying one and having a test ride. It's not going to be an exhaustive review where I've owned the bike for a good while. It's a first impressions review, really. What's the first impressions then? Now, I have owned an Interceptor 650 before. Found it quite uncomfortable, to be honest with you. But this feels a bit different. So I'll tell you what, we'll go for a ride round. Because I'm only a mile out of Potteries Motorcycles. I haven't gone very far. I'll jump on it, we'll go for a ride, and then we'll stop and do the specs a little bit later and come back with a sort of final conclusion. If this is a bike that may be of interest to you, come along and I'll tell you what I think. Okay, so 650 Classic, let's see what it's all about. So this has been out for a few years now, and it's obviously based on the 650. It's based on the 650 Super Meteor platform, and now I have owned a Classic 350 in the past. I've currently got a Bullet, which is essentially the same bike, and for those who don't know, I've got a Scram. I've just bought the last Scram, and that's in for its first service. So Potteries Motorcycles, who I do find to be very good, they're okay. I will happily let you take a little test ride out on any of their demo fleet, just for the want of asking. And so the reason I'm here today, actually was because I was due initially to ride the Bear. I was quite looking forward to the Bear. To be perfectly honest, yeah, given the choice, I was going to take the Bear out, and one of the salesmen rang me this morning and said unfortunately the demo, the Bear, had been sold. So it was obviously up for sale, it had been sold, so they couldn't let me out on it. And I said, well, what else have you got? And they reeled off a few bikes, and I said I'll take the Classic 650 then. So that's where we are now. Personally, my views of the Classic 650, before we sort of get into how it rides and how it looks and how it performs and the specs and that, was that I'd got a 350, and when I saw the 650, I don't know what I was expecting, because it's exactly, I guess it's exactly what you'd expect from Enfield in one respect, but I was a little bit underwhelmed, because I guess because it looks so much like the Classic 350 or even the Bullet, and the colour schemes seem to be a little bit weird. I believe it comes in 3 colour schemes, which again we'll go into later. It's on me bit of paper in my rucksack. But in the flesh, it's quite a pretty thing. It does feel physically quite a bit bigger than the Classic 350. I guess, as you'd expect, it does feel. To be honest, I probably fit this much better than I do the Bullet or the Classic 350. It is a physically bigger bike. That's what you'd expect, and it is. It feels, at first glance, to be low down, easy to cock your leg over. The seat seems to be quite firm, but comfortable. Now, the caveat to that is how many of these seats feel comfortable for the first 25 miles, and then they sort of don't stand the test of time. So I can't really comment on that, but it does feel, it certainly feels more comfortable at first go, and I can move about on it a bit. There's various, I can sort of find myself different seating positions on it slightly. It feels more comfortable than my Scram did. I know it's a different bike, and I've changed the Scram seat for a Himalayan touring seat, which is better. But the original my Scram seat was, I was stuck in one place, it was shoving me forward. This isn't that at all. This is very sit up and beg, perfectly natural. The handlebars are at a nice height. I'm not stretching, I'm not leaning forward, I'm sitting bolt upright, and my knees feel in a comfortable position, and the feet are pretty much below my knees, if that makes sense. They're not, my knee isn't angled backwards, they are pretty much, so the pegs are slightly forward. The pegs are slightly forward on this. So, first impressions. It's a nice place to be. It's comfy. It's physically bigger than my 350, or my classic 350 was, but it's very similar in the layout of the headlamp nacelle, the peak on the headlamp. The switch gear is very similar. I do notice in there we've got a gear indicator, which is always useful, and just below it we've got the tripper. Oh, don't get me started on trippers. If you haven't seen my previous video about the Scram that was delivered without a tripper, then go back and see that. But again, Potteries Motorcycles have been very fair. They explained to me that not all Scrams came with trippers, and that I fully accept. Some of you people out there have confirmed that for me, so they weren't spinning me a yarn. Some of them did come without trippers, and what they did, they said, well, we didn't explain that to you, you know, that it might come without, so we're going to give you the first service at a half price. So I'm happy to take up that offer. That's very kind of them. And I get the chance to ride a classic 650 while I'm here. So this, the engine, I believe it's 648cc, about 46-47 brake horsepower. Nice sound to it, a lovely engine. If you've never ridden one of these, you must give it a go. It's not intimidating, it's just a lovely, smooth thing. And I'm not going to test the limits of its capabilities today. This is a new bike, it hasn't been running, and anyway, we all know that a bike takes a few thousand miles to loosen up nicely and to get running properly, so that you can sort of utilize its characteristics to the full, shall we say. Handles nicely, seems very solid, so seating position is very good. Okay, so my own personal reception to this bike was a little bit cold, and I've absolutely no idea why. Maybe I thought Enfield were trying to make too many bikes out of one platform. You know, they're masters of eking the most out of whether it be the 350 or the 650. Not so much the 411 perhaps, and I know they've gone to 450 now. But they had the Interceptor, they had the Continental GT, a different take on the same bike, and then we had what came next? Was it this Super Meteor and the Shotgun, and then this, and lately the Bear, which is getting which is, I wanted to ride it because it is allegedly the best of the bunch, but there's obviously a place for all of them in the lineup. Different people want different flavours of things, you know, and but I do believe the Bear's getting a good press and getting good reviews. But anyway, the Classic 650, very similar in styling to the 350. This wonderful 650 engine, it's a lovely thing, as I said earlier. It pulls well from down low. Doesn't really matter what gear you're in, it'll go. The gearbox is as smooth as silk. Very forgiving. Makes a nice noise. It is a nice place to be. So yeah, I'm actually warming to this a little bit. I do think there's a place for this. I thought that maybe we didn't need a Classic because wasn't the Interceptor sort of the Classic, and we'd already got the Classic 350. But I am warming to this. It's a great engine, a great engine. We've got so as I said, the instrumentation, I believe we've got an LED headlight, but the rest are bulbs. So it isn't a full LED lighting, it's just the headlight. We do have shower forks. And I think I like shower forks. I remember the first time I really noticed was when I test rode the Himalayan 450, probably, I don't know, 12 months ago. And they were on that bike, they were absolutely beautiful. They were, instead of banging and crashing over bumps, they were working seamlessly, they were working beautifully. And to a lesser degree, I can feel these doing the same. These apparently, this bike has shower forks and shower rear shocks. The front forks, yeah, because of the shroud and that, they're unadjustable. They are what they are. The rear shocks are adjustable for preload, and to be honest, I've no idea what they set on, and I'm a bit bigger than I should be, frankly. But it really does feel comfortable. Now, from a styling perspective, I believe you can also take off the rear seat and the rear subframe. So if you that would be something that I would probably do, I think, because I do think they look nice with just the single seat on. And if you've no requirement to take a passenger on the back, you've no pillion to take. I think it's a good option. Probably loses a few pounds as well. We've got a nice big Royal Enfield handlebar thing there, handlebar brace. Chrome handlebars, and I noticed we've got nice chrome switchgear in typical sort of Enfield fashion, but they are chromed. Little puny horn. Now the mirrors don't stick out very much, and to be honest, these would require for me mirror extenders at least, because a good 50% plus of my view is my arms, is my upper arms. Now I know you can, even if I tweak them in, I've still got a third of its arm, and yeah, I can see behind me, but I just think it could be improved relatively easily. Oh, it is a tractable engine, this is. Don't matter what gear you're in. It just pulls. Makes a nice noise as well. We've got twin sort of pea shooter exhausts going on, and it's a nice place to be. In fact, mind you, it's always dangerous for me riding these because I always want one. So I've got to steer away from that. I'm not going to have one of these. But you know, it is warming on me, and I'm thinking that I don't think I'd have an Interceptor. I wouldn't have an Interceptor again. And I'll tell you, part of the reason for that was how I felt it was uncomfortable. That seat, I don't know if it was the seating position or what, but I didn't get on with it at all. And I almost found it to be almost like it wasn't just quite big enough. It was like a 3/4 bike. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm a big lad, and I always felt that it was just a tad on the small side, physically, dimension-wise. Now, I don't know how the dimensions stack up compared to this, but this feels a bigger, more substantial, a more Keith-sized bike. Keith's just under 6 foot, and he's about 17.5 stone. Far too much, I know, but this fits me better. Probably fits me better than my Bullet. Funnily enough, my Scram fits me okay. That being a taller sort of adventure type street scrambler. There's all these little niches, isn't there, nowadays? But this is lovely. Yeah, this is a nice place to be. Very comfy. Very easy to ride. Go about. Feels very flickable. I think we got a 19-inch front wheel, but it feels very stable. Makes a nice noise. Yeah, it's lovely. So yeah, I like it. It's another winner from Royal Enfield, and I didn't expect. Do you know what? I genuinely didn't expect to like it as much as I do. For me, at my age, with my aches and pains, and you know, I'm wearing out. I'm wearing out at my age, and it's just a real comfy place to be. It's got a lovely engine. Very easy to ride, very comfy. It's all you need. It's great. Okay, so let's have a little walk round. We got the Royal Enfield Classic 650 in the red. Apparently the prices range from £6,500, which will be this one, to £6,799. If you were interested in one in the UK, just at the moment, Chris, the salesman, pointed out that these are actually on a low rate finance offer at the moment, if that was something you're interested in. There's always some offer or another on Royal Enfields, isn't there? We have a 648cc, single overhead cam, air and oil cooled. So there's the oil cooler just on the front there. 47 brake horsepower. 52.3 Newton meters of torque at 5,650 revs. We have a 6-speed gearbox, and it's the same basic frame as the Super Meteor. So that seat and that rear subframe will come off if you want it to. Leaves you with a single seat and a nice big red mudguard. Chrome touches everywhere, I notice. Chrome touches. 43mm forks, so chunky forks, 120mm of travel, and twin shocks on the back, provided by Shower. And I also noted here we've got an LED headlamp. There's an LED headlamp in there. Nice big, would appear to be metal mudguards. Nice big proper metal mudguards to keep, long ones to keep the crud off your engine. I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of that. Front brake, 320mm, twin piston calipers, bi-brake, which is the Royal Enfield thing, and the rear brake is a single piston caliper on a 300mm disc. 243 metal mudguards. 243, forgive me looking at my paperwork, fueled weight. 6,500 to 6,799. Now my notes tell me that this is actually the middle model. The teal green is the cheapest one in the range, although the salesman told me that this was the entry level model. It's growing on me. It's growing on me. 14.8 litre fuel capacity, and we have MRF tyres. Nilo, I can't see what that says, to be honest. Let's have a look. We've got MRF, Nilo High-On, Nilo High-On. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, so that's what we've got tyre-wise. So there we go, quick walk round. Comfy. You can see how far forward. Ah, that's interesting. Sometimes with Royal Enfields, when they get down here to the, that's obviously the footrest hanger, and the gear linkage going from there to something here. It would appear that they've brought the foot pegs forward. The foot pegs are forward, aren't they? Which makes for the, you know, I'm sitting there, my knees are here, and I said my feet are right below them. And it's a comfy thing. It's a comfy thing. It's nice. Nice. 5 position. Let's have a look. Yeah, adjustable 5 position. And they are on, I believe, they're on the softest setting. They're on the softest setting. So all in all, paintwork's good. It always is. Paintwork's good. Handlebar grips. Chrome end caps. Pretty. Pretty. Ah, adjustable span on your levers. Adjustable span on the levers. And under there we have yet a USB connector, which is always useful. So all in all, yeah, it's growing on me. It's growing on me, certainly. Right, let's take it back and see if they've done me scram. Okay, so there's a little walk round. I would say, personally, and everybody's different, that if you were in the market for this type of bike, you couldn't go wrong with it. If you were in the market for a 350, if you like the 350, the Bullet and the Classic, but felt the need for a bit more power, you won't go wrong with this. I would go as far as to say that out of the ones that I've ridden so far, as I mentioned coming down the road, this is the best one of the lot. But so the things I don't like is that they haven't, you know, like the Bullet and the Classic 350. They've hit the nail bang on the head with them. With this, I just feel they've lost a bit. But that's my only negative. I did notice while I was doing the walk round just as well that we've got a centre stand on it, which is always useful. Why they don't fit centre stands? Well, we know why they don't fit them. Don't you know? They will claim that you know they're saving weight and maybe lean angles and stuff like that. But I'd sooner have a centre stand any day of the week, because you never know when you're going to get a punchy. And just for routine maintenance, for washing and cleaning and chain lubing, you know, it makes life so much easier, doesn't it? So it was good to note that they've fitted a centre stand to this, and I was quite impressed by you know, the foot peg hangers and the gear change mechanism and that. Often on Enfields, when they get low down, they get a bit it's like, I think I saw another video of something on an Enfield. It said it's like they lose interest and they just have pressed steel brake levers and gear levers and things, and that's the case on my Scram and me Bullet. But on this, they seem to be like cast, they seem to be forged gear, and because they've shoved them a bit further forward, it is a really comfy place to be. So if it was my money, I'd buy this of the ones I've ridden so far. Now, the one caveat, the one thing that I'd say is I haven't ridden the Bear, and I suspect that might fulfill my needs even better than this does. But what a wonderful little bike. I've been pleasantly, that's the way, I've been pleasantly surprised. I haven't been blown away, but I've been pleasantly surprised by it. There isn't many things on on the naughty list, apart from the colour schemes. And I could live with that. I don't care what colour it is, really, personally. But I just think they could have done slightly better in that department and wouldn't have cost them anything. That's the thing. The seat now, I've been on it for, I don't know, maybe half an hour. And it's still comfy. It's still quite comfy. I haven't gone that far. But it's still quite comfy. And it's just a lovely little thing. Yeah, I say lovely little thing, a 650 twin. Yeah, it's a nice place to be. So I would suggest, if you were remotely interested in any of these bikes, go to your local dealer, see if you can get a test ride, because they do vary a little bit. Excuse me. They've all got their own flavours, these bikes have. They've all got their own flavours, and Enfield are masters at making the most out of any given platform. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to enjoy the ride back to Potteries Motorcycles and switch it off. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Please feel free to comment below. Share your thoughts. Maybe you're an owner who knows these far better than I do. So you're in a much better position to cast judgment on them. But I'm going to tickle back to Potteries Motorcycles now, pick my scram up. And I'm looking forward to riding it back, because I can get up to the heady heights. Now that the 300-mile service has been completed, I can get up to the heady heights of 50 miles an hour. Although that's for the next best part 1,000 miles, so that's not quite. But 50 miles an hour I can live with. The original running period requires it to be ridden at sort of less than 40 miles an hour, which I know it's only 300 miles, but it's a pain in the backside. An absolute pain in the derriere. So I'm going to go back to Potteries Motorcycles now, pick my scram up, and at least it stayed, the weather forecast was for it to be wet, but it stayed dry for me, which is good, Okay, looks like we caught a train. Ah, no, that was interesting. Just as I came to a halt then, I put my foot down and I sort of caught the foot peg a little bit. Now I know that's just a matter of getting used to it. And I'm not yet, because obviously I'm just on a test drive, but I did just catch it, so just be a little bit careful of that, because it could cause a problem. Right, so we're just waiting for this train to disappear. But yeah, it's a nice thing. Nothing wrong with Royal Enfields nowadays. Absolutely wonderful. Wonderful things. So I'm going to wish you well. Look after yourselves. Watch out for the potholes and the lunatic drivers. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.